Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter. T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Welcome to the Spectrophotometer lab. Today we will be using a spectrophotometer to determine the relationship between concentration and absorbance. Before that, we had to prepare our dilutions and fill our cuvettes with our solutions. Once we filled all of our cuvettes with our solutions and one with water, we go to the spectrophotometer room and zero out the spectrophotometer by placing the cuvette filled with water into the spectrophotometer and pressing 0 on the computer. Be sure to remove the cuvette from the spectrophotometer and close the spectrophotometer lid. Before placing your cuvette inside of the spectrophotometer, you must wipe down the sides of the cuvette so that your fingerprints don't interrupt with the scan. Before measuring the absorbances of each of your dilutions, you must first scan across all wavelengths on the spectrophotometer so that you know which wavelength will give you the best absorbance. Another pro tip is to remember to close the lid before you complete your scan. If necessary, you may scan through all wavelengths on more than one dilution to find your best peak wavelength, other known as lambda max. Once you find your best peak wavelength, remember to write it down in your lab notebook. Then you can scan at that specific wavelength to find the absorbance of all your dilutions.
Make sure you guys get your faces in the video.
Once you set up your peak wavelength, you can easily find the absorbances of all of your dilutions using the spectrophotometer and the computer system.
Now, how about this? How about this one? Okay, great. So,
Science.
this is a way to. I'm sorry.
On the two sides that will be passing like
T minus 7 seconds.
Remember to write down the absorbances for all of your dilutions in your lab notebook. After collecting all your data from the spectrophotometer, you should be able to confirm your findings using the Beer-Lambert's law. Basically, the Beer-Lambert's law states that the relationship between absorbance and concentration should be proportional and therefore shouldn't have a y-intercept. If you do have a y-intercept in your graph of concentration and absorbance, that might mean that you forgot to zero out your machine before you started your data collection. Of course, there's always going to be some error in your findings because even when you zero out the machine, it doesn't get perfectly down to 0, but you would be able to adjust your graph depending on what they zeroed out the scale to be.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.